Hello everyone. Today I will be discussing the complex issue of cars, more specifically, all the different kinds of stress that they cause in the world we live in. I hope to show just some of the most prevalent negative reasons having a society based around cars as a primary means of transportation is. Let's begin with the first stressful and most obvious effect cars have. Mm, And that is the stresses caused by the pollutants given off by the hundreds of millions of automobiles around the world. Stress to the environment is more damaging depending on how many cars there are. According to COVID-19 Prevention, Air Pollution, and Transportation Patterns in the Absence of a Lockdown, in the Journal of Environmental Management, there was much less CO2 emissions being released in major cities during the COVID lockdown of 2020, and at that time, went to show that we might not need cars as much as we thought we did because so many people have been given the option of working from home since then. It is also detrimental to our own health we use cars so much, according to findings found in the health impacts of traffic-related exposures in urban areas from the Journal of Transit and Health. There is more and more damage being done to the health of people, especially infants, who are constantly around these kinds of toxins. They are even the cause of premature mortality. It is just not good for any of us or the planet as a whole to be constantly breathing in everything cars give off. The next kind of stress is physical. Obviously, car crashes and accidents are a big danger to our mortal well-being. Whether you are behind the wheel, in the back, or just a bystander on the street, the fear of being hurt or killed by car or truck is almost always in the back of your head. But some people don't worry that much about it because most people consider themselves to be good drivers. But when we feel safe, that is often when we are at the most risk. The CDC website shows that there are many accidents caused by minor distractions behind the wheel, and distractions tend to happen when we feel confident in our abilities. And according to Risk Homeostasis Theory and Overview, the author Gerald J.S. Wild posits that we feel that the safer we feel behind the wheel, the more prone we are to drive dangerously. It's around this point in my soapboxing that people tend to ask the pretty pessimistic sentiment. Well, what can we do? It's always been this way, and probably always will. The thing is, though, it hasn't always been like this. The way we see and perceive cars as necessities instrumental in everyday life, this was all manufactured to sell more cars. This includes utilizing the insult of calling someone a J for walking across the street, which was not made a crime until cars became popularized. And because of this intense marketing and branding, the streetcar became obsolete. Streets became for cars instead of for people, according to Street Rivals, Jaywalking and the Invention of the Motor-Age Street by Peter Norton. Americans rebuilt their cities because of their love affair with the automobile. On the left, we see a painting by Swedish artist Carl Gilg, which shows just how much of our space we designate solely for cars. We are giving less and less space to ourselves or to nature, and that is not a sustainable mindset. Back to the stresses automobiles cause, we come to mental stress. I do not think it comes as a shock to anyone that cars cause a myriad of anxieties. The most common felt is road rage at things we cannot control, including driving in bad weather, dealing with other drivers on the road, and sitting in traffic. According to Business Insider, in a study they did, the average US commuter spends nearly 2 full days per year stuck in traffic, not to mention the fears involved. I personally have a friend who refuses to go on highways as a result of a car wreck she was in nearly a decade ago. There are so many ways being behind a wheel messes with your mental state. The final stress is that on your wallet. The financial stress dealing with the constant use and upkeep of cars can be staggering and crippling. According to the same Business Insider study as the last slide, the average commuter spends over $1,400 a year just idling away gas. According to an article aptly titled, "The Average American Spends Way More on Transportation Than You'd Guess," the average person spends roughly 20% of their budget just on their cars, including car payments, gas and oil, maintenance, and insurance. When dealing with the financial aspect of car owning, you also have to look at the dealerships selling them. According to the New Yorker article Dealer's Choice, the author states dealers are not employees of the car companies. They own local franchises, which in every state are protected by so-called franchise laws. This means that those who manufacture cars being sold have almost no say in how dealerships go about selling them. What is being done now is unsustainable. Building more roads does nothing to help traffic flow, and in some cases it even makes it worse. If we want to stop or at least lessen all of these negative things I have been talking about, then we as a society need to start utilizing more public forms of transportation, such as trains or streetcars. We don't have to live in a land of smog and no greenery just because it has always been that way. Car manufacturers reshape the world around their product, and if we if enough people care to try, we can shape it back around the people who actually live here instead of the dangerous, expensive, inanimate objects. Thank you.